Adventure door.
That
Yeah,
is the
this seems to be working fine. It's got hinges, but it's not going to animate. So we're gonna have a problem with that. And also we have another problem. It's a top-down game. Which
Okay.
means what we should use instead is some kind of vertical gate. Maybe made with spikes. I think that will probably work.
Mm-hmm.
So let's modify this door a bit.
I did 64, 64, 64, and it's...
Yeah, that's as it should be. So we're gonna go to attach, face, and I'm gonna hold shift and remove that. I'm gonna hold shift and remove that. We're gonna remove the knob.
No, it's not. It's unpainted.
It's fine, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a bit of a pain this, but it won't take too long. There, I'm almost there. And if it's different faces, I don't care, because they're gonna go. Yeah, so we're not gonna use any hinges. What we're gonna use is we're gonna use like sort of doors that go into the ground or something to that effect. Okay, now let's go with box, and let's sort of undo these, and then undo these. Actually, let's undo everything else, and then we're gonna copy pasta stuff. Whee! Okay. Now we're gonna undo. You know what? From the other side, it would be faster. All we need is do this, and then this, and then this. There we go. We got one spike.
That looks like a pencil.
Yeah, at the moment. Okay, so box. Remove these. And remove these. Now all we gotta do is create these sort of spikes. You know what? I think it'd be a lot easier if we simply start from scratch here and look from the top here, go back to ortho, and create little circles. I think that'll help. Like this. Right?
Yeah.
And now...
How did you find the middle instantly? I had to count for ages.
I didn't. I guessed. If it's not the middle, I'm gonna fix it in Blender. Is there a way to do this a bit faster? Yes. Okay. So now we got these pylons sort of thing going up. And let's see if we can clear. Alright, so that's one bit. My goal is to turn this into a pointy bit.
Mm.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go, whoops, control there, thanks. I'm gonna go all the way around until I've got a pointy bit.
Mm.
Okay, almost there. One more. And only one is kind of sufficient, because I'll just copy pasta it on the other side. Okay, there you go. So that's a spiky bit. I'm not really sure that it looks right, so I'm gonna see if I can lower everything by like 1 pixel, or voxel I guess. So lower these and then lower this. Okay, yeah, I think this will look more correct.
Yeah.
It will look more menacing. Like that. There, what do we got? Does that look more like a spike? Maybe even more pointy. Alright, one more attempt. How's that? Yeah. So now we got by 3, except the top one, which is all alone up there, and it's a 2. But I think that'll work. Oops, I think I removed one too many. But you know what? It may work. There.
There.
Yeah, it looks like a spike, doesn't it?
Now it looks like a sharpened pencil.
Yeah, let's see. I'm still not totally happy. Maybe we can... There. Yeah. There, I think that works. Whoops, undo. As you know, I can spend a lot of time on art.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty good for one of these. Now we would need something for the ground that would indicate that the spikes can come out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the same model and cheat. Right, so I'm gonna go here and create a bigger circle, just like that, and then undo. I forgot it starts from the center, and then like that, and then like this. There. Actually, this one will be a texture, probably. So at this point, just leave it like this, and then the rest will take care of itself. Okay, so now let's save it. And now let's export PLY. And adventure door PLY, sure, whatever. Now it's time to open Blender. Environment. Oh, I just realized that we forgot to to say welcome one and all. Well, this is the 32nd episode of D&D. Anyway, let's carry on.
Yeah.
So, okay, so these are the various pieces. Shift C. Shift C. Now, file import PLY.
And it's not there because you didn't save it there.
Oh, did I save it somewhere stupid where it does like its
You
default?
saved it with the shirt and T and all that.
Well, that's the beauty of having free software. Isn't there a go there? There isn't, but I can copy this and then go over here and cut it and put it over here. And now go back a folder and back to here. There it is. Okay, now it's huge-tastic. As usual, we need to change the
Divided by
proportions.
64.
Divide by 64. Divide by 64.
Very flat.
Divide by 64.
There we go.
Alright. So now, there's a bunch of stuff we need to do. Number one is remove doubles.
And I can.
And then we need to limited dissolve. Okay, this has already simplified this dramatically. So, parts we do not need.
The bottom.
Where's face selection? There. So this one, delete face. Alright, so that's gone. Now, here we got a bunch of faces and they're all fine. Do we see anything odd? Well, this one is an end gone. I could improve this fairly easily as well. So delete this face. Delete this face. Wait, we get a problem. No, we don't. Delete and delete. Delete these faces. Because these are nice and squaries. Now these are not. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this, this, and this, and this, and create a face.
And then.
Create a face. Create a face. And create a face. And now from here we can create this face. And the one thing we're missing is these. So all of these don't really exist. So we need to extrude some down. Now this is gonna be wrong, so we pick this Z 54 and we tell this, and this that it's going to be 54. Now we can create this quad, this quad, this quad, this quad, this, whoops, this quad, this quad, this quad. All I'm doing is I'm converting everything to quads so I don't have to deal with the end guns later.
Yeah.
Many people like to operate with end guns, I don't. Alright, so now these also need to be extruded all the way down. Extrude. And now change the Z to 0. And they should be all the way at the bottom. Ta-da! Face. So at this point this should be a correct face. Yep. Face. Well. Face. I was just thinking, because our game doesn't actually look... Wait a second. Our game doesn't really look... it doesn't look voxely anymore. The only thing that's voxely is the main character, right?
Yeah.
Well, the bombs too. Yeah, let's carry on. Because those haven't been textured yet, you know? We may change the way things look later, but... Okay, so I've done all of them. Good. Now there's another N-gon up here. It's the only one. Well, only 4. These will be fairly easy to solve. And delete these faces. So here you've got an easy one, an obvious one, one square, another square. There you go. And now it's just those. We're gonna put a couple of tries like this.
We could actually just put a rectangle there, right?
No, because you can't have a rectangle there. There's too many vertices. You would be an extreme hexagon, whatever, pentagon. I'm not paying attention. A certain amount, but not a hexagon. Or an n-gon. There we go. That's looking right. Okay, so we got this thing. Now the last thing that I want to do with this is I want to move it to the center. So I'm going to put a Z of 0. Oh, my bad. I mean a Y of 0 and an X of 0. And now it's bang on in the center. And then we can create numerous ones directly into the prefab. Now for this one, same principle. Remove the bottom face. Now the top face is an n-gon as well, so let's remove this face and let's simply select all of them and go extrude WMC, and there they go. I wonder if there could be more efficient ways, possibly, but this is pretty good. Let's just make sure that this is not a 0. No, it's a 1. Perfect. So we're going to do exactly the same thing here. But first we're going to separate this. So this is now a separate object from that one. And now we're going to tell it you're going to be at 0 and you're going to be at 0. And there you go. You've got a spike and its base. Okay, so that's going to spike base.
The other one spike door.
Just spike, I guess, is sufficient.
Yeah. Then we need to do all the material thing.
Spike? No, not really. It's only got one material. Spike.
Yeah,
so what we do need to do is ways to interact with these things. So I think a spike should be opened and closed based on 2 switches. One switch that opens, one switch that closes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not that sure how that should be. But, excuse me. But, I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. Maybe a floor switch. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for a floor switch, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a look at our grass. There it is. Okay, we're gonna duplicate our grass. Just here. There we go. Do we have a bottom face? We don't. There's the switch. And it should probably have 2 different textures for whether it's pressed or not. Something like that. This is going to be a worry because we're going to have to save the status of each switch. Unless every switch is timed. It really depends on how we want to deal with our doors. I can see the concentration in your eyes. You're really thinking about the game design, aren't you? I'll take that as a flat out no. We're gonna have to manage these doors somehow to trap the player, but the player needs to be able to come out. So I say the door should work like in Thrusty Ship, meaning you press one switch, the door changes position. You press another switch, the door changes position, and all the other related switches change position alongside it.
Okay.
Maybe the switches could have colors, and so could the doors. I don't know. We're gonna have to decide. And loads of things. The door needs to be rotated either horizontally or vertically, so that information needs to pass, probably using the red channel. The switch can be in any rotation, so that's fine, but we need to know which door it refers to. And for that, perhaps we should use the green channel. So however much the green channel has for the door, the same amount must be present for the switch as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not obvious. Okay, switch. And switch. And how do you interact with these switches? You walk on them, that's it. So, for this switch, one thing I want to do... Oh, it's already done. We already have the texture.
Yeah.
The unwrapping. So that's good. This spike base... I don't think that one is unwrapped, but we should unwrap it. And we're simply going to unwrap it, project from view. Simple as that. Bounds. And for the spike itself, we're not going to unwrap it. It's going to be a basic, simple material. Okay. Back to the game. Alright, so now we need to create some prefabs. In the map, entities, ladder is a good starting point. So let's duplicate the ladder and call this one spikes. Let's drag the spikes into no, let's not. Let's double click on spikes. Okay, for model, so we're gonna have to use something completely different. Instead of ladder, we are going to use a spike base. Okay, so we forgot something. Select both, hit A, yeah, and now Control A to apply. Control A, save. So I've applied all 3, and now this one should magically boop, go exactly where I want it to go. Okay, so this collider is helping me a little bit because it's giving me an idea how thick this is going to be. So for the model, create an empty and call it base. Yeah. And now model, the box collider, we're gonna move it, but we'll worry about that later. create another empty, and we're gonna call it spikes. Let's actually remove this box collider. Let's leave it for now just so it's visual reference. But we're going to tell it it's going to be undo. No, it's fine. Actually, spike base. I've put it at 0 on the Y, and for some reason it was at -1. Okay, not sure why. Put it at 0 and the center 0. Okay, and 0.5 should be correct. Size 1, size 0.2, whatever. Doesn't match. Yeah, there you go. That's good. Now what we need to do is we need to duplicate this model. So first of all, let's call this one 0. Now duplicate it. And since we're here, hold Control. Hold Control and Shift. No, it doesn't change anything, but just hold Control. Okay, that's it, leave it there. So -0.4, that should do. Let's see this one, -0.2. Okay, duplicate it. Another time. And another time. Okay, so this one's going to be at 0. This one's going to be at 0.2. And this one's going to be at 0.4. And now we got them all. So
And now we need to add the spikes that are sticking out and blocking your
so
path.
the box collider, this one in the middle. Copy component. Based component is new. Okay, so this one is rotated wrong, which is interesting. I think that all of these are rotated by 270. So we're going to rotate the base by 270. And then all of these by 0. Therefore, the spikes will be rotated by 270. And that's it. Alright, now rename this one to 1. This one to 2. This one to 3. This one to 4. Okay. Now, remove the box collider from all of them. Duplicate 0. My bad. Let's duplicate all of them. Hold Shift. Control D. Drag them all in here. Okay. Now let's immediately rename them. Alright. It doesn't really matter that they are numbered. Not particularly useful. And now these we're gonna change from spike base to spike. There they are. See how it looks like a barrier that you can't pass through? That's the point. And then what we're gonna do when we play is we're gonna do this.
Oh, we're gonna put them below ground so that you can pass?
Yeah. And then whoop, back up, whoop, back down. Maybe we could just leave them sticking out a little bit. That's alright. Okay, so now let's start creating some materials here. So map entities, duplicate stem, doesn't matter. And we're gonna call this one spike. And duplicate it again, spike base. It already says spikes.
But if we do spike base, aren't we gonna do a texture?
Yeah, but it needs a material anyway. So all of these need spike base. Alright. Now spike base is going to be, oh no, it's kind of gray or whatever. And now we need an albedo. What options we have? Do we have a ring? We do. That's already looking pretty correct, really. I mean, it's kind of weird to have a circle on a voxel structure, but I'm not too fussed. How about this? That's better. Okay. Now I'd prefer to have it inverted, the other way around, but I don't know that we'll have the luxury, so let's just go with this for now, and that's it. Now for the spikes, all of them must have it. spike. Alright, and now the spikes need to have a gray material, I guess. So spikes is currently 0. And there we go. Let's see if spike can get a little bit more of a metallic nature, a bit more smoothness too. 0.4, 0.3. There we go. I don't know how this is gonna look like. Again, they're not textured. It'll probably be a good idea to put textures on them later, but we'll worry about all of this in due course. Okay, so here are the spikes, and these are fine, and they're prepared, right? The collider is already on the spikes themselves. Rigid body is present. Interactive entity is not really correct, but maybe. Rotatable edge object, we definitely need it. Map entity, we need it. Because the object can be rotated either horizontally or vertically, right? We can't really do diagonals. So, okay, so that's the spikes. Now, let's go back to the prefabs, map entities, and we need a switch. So duplicate these spikes. Wait a moment. I'm kind of curious about something. I don't remember if the ladder is a trigger or not. It is a trigger. Let's quickly check that the spikes are not trigger, because I think they will be. Yep. Spikes are not a trigger. Layer. I don't know. We'll worry about that later, because we already have quite a lot of layers taken and they're limited. There's a maximum of 32. Okay, now you can duplicate this spikes and call this one switch. My bad actually. I keep on making mistakes. Let's duplicate the ladder, because this one already has the correct type of glider. So call this one switch. Now let's open the switch. Let's change the model to the switch. Let's also put it back where it belongs. 0. Switch, switch, switch. There it is. Okay, it's already rotated correctly. That's, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, now all we need to do is we need to reset the collider. That's it. Now it's gonna need a material of its own. So let's go to the materials entities, duplicate spike base, and call this one switch. Now let's feed switch to the model, and there it is. And you know, I think this could be an okay texture for now. The point is, in the future we're gonna have something a little bit less silly than this, right? Something that works a bit better. Something that is evidently a switch that's been pressed and a switch that hasn't been pressed. It's gonna have to have 2 statuses or something like that. Okay, 0.9, 0.9. Okay, this is all good. And it's a trigger collider. It is. Okay, awesome. So they should all function. At least I think so. Okay. Now we need to actually create all of these entities in our code.
And then in GIMP.
In GIMP, yes. Well, in GIMP we need to place them on the map.
Yeah.
And you'll see why we'll do this. Basically, you'll enter the level where you have the puzzle with the bombs, and then the door will shut behind you. So you need to obtain the glove, and then when you have the glove, you'll be able to hit Control M. Oops, this is me. Oh, I can't believe this was saved. Delete that. This was me showing somebody else how to code something, and I forgot the code here. Never mind. Okay, that literally doesn't affect anything then. So we got the map here. All right, so entity tile, spawn point, treasure chests, blah blah blah. Now here you can add spikes and then comma, switch. No, can't call it that way. Call it spike switch. Not pike switch, spike switch. Okay, save. Alright, so these two extra ones exist. Let's quickly go to the world and take a look at the entities. So we need 2 more colors. So let's go to 6. Now for the colors, we need precise colors that translate well into percentages and vice versa. So that's pretty important. We've used these primaries. Well, cyan isn't really a primary, so technically we got blue available to us, but I don't know that I want to use that. I think that for a switch we could use white or something, and for gray maybe we use gray, I don't know. So wait, this is the spikes. So for the spikes, what should we use? Magenta. Magenta would work. Full blue and full red. There we go. So that's one. And for the switch, white. Sure, whatever.
Okay.
Now 6.
Need to add
Need the spike.
and the switch.
Spikes over here and switch over here. Entity containers, we don't have them, so let's go and create them. Duplicate spawn point twice. Spikes with a capital S. And switches. Now that these have been created, we can add them. Spikes, boop, and switches. Entity rotations. So spikes cannot be -1.
Because we have to make it rotate.
Right.
Precisely.
It's interesting to see this 180. What is this 180 for in the map tiles? C is forced to be 180.
We're still always point up.
I don't know how to tell this guy. I think we can probably leave it at -1 because it's going to be controlled by something else. Maybe I should just point out it should be something other than -1. Anyway, so magenta and white. That's what we need to remember. Cool. Now, let's go to the map. Now, this is gonna get a bit complicated because we've got this issue that we need to save the status of each switch and each door for each place. So we're gonna use the same trick that we did for the treasures. So there's quite a lot of information that needs to be stored. Okay, so here's the world. Let's just display it. We're not really gonna change it. I mean, we may, but so here, this exit, right? We need to put a gate in front of it, a spike door. Now it's a 2-spot gate, so that's already a problem. We're gonna have to change that. So let's change the walls so that you can enter and there's only 1. So I'm going to immediately grab this and immediately color this. And then I'm going to delete these walls. There's some dirt over here, which we can delete also. And that gives us this little corridor.
And we should also delete this dirt we should make this dirt have grass as well, because otherwise it's not even anymore.
Well, I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
But what we do need to do is extend this corridor a bit. Like so. And sure. Delete that dirt. Oh boy. We need grass. There we go. And dirt. we need dirt over here. In that
It's
case, we need to
underneath the
delete
grass.
grass. There we go. Right, so this dirt, and right here we're gonna put one of those spikes. So first of all, save. Now we're gonna remove the entity, Control Shift E, and textures, map. So that's the first one we're going to export to. Okay, the map has been updated. Now let's expose the entities. So we said that the spikes are magenta, right? So let's go and grab magenta, increase red, boom, there we go. So this is our spikes, and we're gonna put a spike over here. Then we're gonna, oops, undo. I put a spike on the grass. We need 2 new layers. Even though I'm actually, you know what? This is kind of stupid. I think we can fuse all of these layers together because we know what they are, or we should. Yeah, hit W, 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 stop. Okay, because they override one another anyway. It's kind of the same with walls, grass, and dirt, frankly. I mean, what's the advantage of having one over the other? I'm not sure. Yeah, let's fuse these as well. W, W, stop. Okay, so this is tiles, capital T. Yeah, and this is entities. Save. So yeah, entity
tiles maybe?
Yeah, sure. Entity tiles. Yeah, save. Okay, so this makes sense. Now in entity tiles, there it is. There's the spikes, and then we're also going to immediately put a white switch over here. And
So
we should put another switch to open the tiles, but it should be somewhere where it's not obvious. So here.
That's a ladder.
All right, good point. I'm getting confused. So where should we put the switch?
Maybe we can make a little island somewhere down here with connected to the thing with a bridge, and then put a bomb there. It's a very tight spot.
We're already surrounded by bombs, so the switch could be right here, for example, and then we can surround it by dirt, like so. Right. So the player will hopefully know that this is where they need to be. Right. And yeah, I'm kind of tempted to sort of create a bit more of this pathway. Yeah, maybe it should connect even in other places, but that's fine for now. Is it? There. Okay, so we've got a bit of stuff there. We need to export the world, so save real quick. Control E again. It's just gonna go straight to map. Okay, now we're gonna hide this and Control Shift E. This now goes to entities. Now, for entity info, we need information about the rotation of things. Now, for the rotation of the spikes, all we need to do is determine whether it's rotated 90 degrees or not. It's as simple as that, right? 0 or 90.
90 like this, 0 like this.
That's right. So we need only 2 values. So we're going to use the red channel for that. Okay. If there's nothing on the red channel, rotation is 0. If there's everything on the red channel, rotation is 90.
Yeah.
Simple as. Okay, the switches can rotate wherever they want to. So let's leave...
They're always squares and the same.
Right, let's leave the entity info alone. I know we have a bug on the entity info. I think this particular bomb is wrong, or this one I think
and also the ladder down there is wrong.
Right, that's true.
The ladder is facing out.
But we'll worry about that later, not now. Okay, so this is perfect. Hit Control S to save. And let's quickly go check that everything is working. Now, those particular switches won't do anything now, and the spikes may or may not work. I'm not even sure. There's a little fella. traverses this first level. There's the switch.
Switch.
So we're gonna hide from this bomb.
Click.
Okay, I walked on it, no trouble. That's good. Right, and I'm gonna hide behind this. Okay, there's the spikes. As you can see, they're rotated the wrong way. But they are blocking my path. Well, ish. I can kind of get through at the moment because of the fact that they are rotated the wrong way. So that's easy. And plus, we need to set it up, right?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, well, we just know that it's rotated that way or whatever, and that's fine. Let's give it full blast red to entity info then. Wait, okay. Grab red, there it is. Okay, that's good. Now entity info. I'm just going to click here.
There we go.
Hide this, Control-Shift-T. Entity info. Alright, here we go. Now we need to create all of this and set it all up and everything. Let's go to the map. Setup map. The setup entities. Alright. Setup entity. I think it's actually send info to entity. Color C, blah blah blah. Child entity setup. Map entity. Okay, so you see how it's got a certain amount of things here?
Yeah.
What we need to do now is we need to
make a new script for the.
That's right. We need a new script for the switch and a new script for the spikes. So let's begin. Let me first do a bit of order here. Map entity create C# script spikes. Yeah, and immediately let's create
another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Switch. Okay. Now you need to give it time to wake up, and now we can open switch, and we can open spikes. Okay. So clear this, and clear.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And clear this. Okay, so all of them saved. Save the spikes. Good. Now let's take a look at how we set up our ladder, for example. Where's ladder? Do we not have one? Is it just a rotatable object?
I think it's a rotatable edge object.
It could be a rotatable object. Well, we'll worry about these later. The rotatable object does exist on the spikes. Actually, does it also exist on the whatever I called it, map entity switch? Yeah, because it shouldn't have a rotatable object. Remove component. Interactive entity, that's correct. IE type ladder. I don't think this actually matters. Oh, notice we don't have an interactive entity for that. So let's quickly go to interactive entity, go to this particular enum.
And go to input switch and not spikes.
Right. So comma spikes. Just spikes is the first one. Spikes.
We don't need a spike one, right? We're not going to actually interact with it.
That's a good point. Yeah. So spike switch. You can type switch. It's not happy.
Because it's an actual thing.
Yeah. Save. Okay. So spike switch has an interactive entity, and now we wait a little bit, and then it's gonna be there. Ta-da! Okay. Spike switch. Okay. Map entity, treasure chest, rotatable object, REO setup. Let's go take a look. Rotation index. Okay, so you see that this is going to be a problem because rotatable edge object behaves in a certain specific way. That's not what we want, so we can't use this script. At least not in the way we're doing it. In fact, we did call it rotatable edge object.
Yeah.
The spikes are not on the edge, they're in the middle. So it doesn't really work for our purposes here. So let's go to the spikes and remove the rotatable edge object. Let's also remove the interactive entity. Okay.
Shouldn't we change the switch to the switch in the interactive entity?
Well, yeah, both of these need a spikes and switch. So type S. No, this one's the spikes. And then the switch is gonna need the switch script. And there, save. Actually, I don't think that works. Now you can save. Yeah. Alright, so map entity, we are going to look for switches. So no, for spikes. So go spikes, space SP, equal get component spikes. Do exactly the same check as all the others. And now we need to call a setup, but it doesn't really exist. So public void setup, and it's going to request a color C. Whoa, that went wrong. Double click the entire word. Okay, that works too. Now color C. And technically we would need to request whether it's open or closed too. But no, it's gonna deal with itself. It's gonna deal with itself. But wait. Don't we have, I think we have world coordinates.
Yeah.
Right? So we're gonna request world coordinates and quadrant coordinates. So copy these two.
Could have pretty much got the whole, copied the whole thing at this point.
Yeah. We are gonna need world coordinates and quadrant coordinates for the switches. We may need a color for the switches too. So copy this entire method and paste it here. Save. Okay, so that's the basics for now. So inside spikes, we receive the color. Now we're gonna deal with that rotation. Let's go and copy that from rotatable object. Copy these two, and then I'll paste them here. Save. So rotation index is this. No, we're gonna say transform the undo once. Save. It's up times 90. And now another times C.R. Save. Because it's a percentage, right? So if it's a 0, you're gonna get no rotation.
Yeah.
If it's a 1, you're gonna get a 90-degree rotation. Simple as. So the rotation is done right away. Save. Now this one would obviously need some kind of status, whether it's open or closed. So let's create a public bool open, private bool open. My bad. Private bool open. Semicolon. Let's start with open equals false, but this is obviously going to be wrong.
Because you have to enter first.
Right. So in order to open and close it, what are we going to use? What would be perfect for this?
A bool function.
What? I'm talking about making the spikes going down or stay up. What should we use?
A lerp.
Yeah, I agree. Where?
In a enumerator and what?
Coroutine.
Coroutine, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So create a private coroutine core open, for example. Semicolon. Now we're gonna need a serialized field private float open duration, and we're also going to use a curve semicolon, and then serialize field private animation curve, curve underscore open, curve underscore open. Anything else that we need? Semicolon. I'm not sure. I don't think we do. So here you go with public void start open, open around, and request a bool on off, comma, bool insta. It's my shortcut for instantaneous. Close the round, open a squiggle, hit enter, close, save. Now you need a void stop open, open close rounds, open a squiggle, hit enter, yeah, and then close there. And now you need an enumerator, open routine, enumerator, open routine, yeah, open a squiggle. Here you're gonna need on off, yeah, pull on off, and now close the round, open a squiggle, save. Okay, so we need a serialized field private float array. Yeah, close the array and open positions equals new float, two of them, one for when it's closed and one for when it's open.
Yeah.
Open a squiggle. So open a squiggle. 0f, that's when it's closed, comma, minus 0.9f. F, that's when it's closed. Close that's when it's open. Semicolon. Save. Alright, so we got the positions, that's good. So stop open, do the check for the routine. Is not no. Null. Stop routine. Okay, you can call stop open right here. After you've called it, you need to check if it's insta. Else. So save. If it's instantaneous, it will depend on the boolean on off. So if it's open or closed, whatever, right? So first of all, we're gonna say open equals on off. Semicolon. Now, based on open, we're gonna decide what position, right? Based on open, we're gonna decide what position to put. So it's gonna be, and plus, what are you moving? You are actually moving one of your children. So we need a reference to that child.
Okay.
Private transform spikes.
Oops.
It's gonna be capital T. Spikes. Or spike container, that's a better name. Container, semicolon. Copy it. In setup, paste it. Equals. Transform. Dot.
And
transform, there it is. It's still wrong. Because now you put a capital T. There. Okay. Dot find open round. I think we called it spikes. Wrong bracket. Wrong bracket. Spikes. Oh, you're missing the quote. And it was capital S. Fairly sure. Close the quote, close the round semicolon. Okay, so now we have the spike container, so copy the spike container, paste it, and now you're gonna say dot position, local position, rather, equals vector 3 dot up times what? Times what? Let's see if you can reason your way out of this problem. What are we doing now?
We're making it go. We're choosing whether to keep it to start open or down.
Yes.
Or closed.
So, I've already given you loads of hints, right? You're manipulating the transform of the spikes,
Yep.
not the parent, the actual spikes. And you're telling it that the local position is going to be something, and you're going to tell it it's going to be vector 3 dot up.
Mm-hmm.
Multiply by what? Think of it in human terms. So we're moving something on the y-axis
Mm-hmm.
by how much? Depending on what?
Our open positions we need.
Yeah, that's true. So multiply by open positions, I agree with that.
But then which one?
Which one? And what does it depend on? So you need a square bracket, you know that. But now,
Yeah.
which of the two? 0 or 1? And depending on what?
If it's Insta, then it will be.
Insta only tells us that it happens immediately without the animation.
Yeah. So that means in the else we'll put off.
No.
But it won't happen.
No, don't worry about other things. So, look at the entire function that you wrote. It says start open. It requires two pieces of information, on off and insta. On off is going to be your am I going to open or am I going to close? That's the question. Off is going to be close, on is going to be open, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Bool insta means it happens immediately as opposed to taking time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in the it happens immediately right now. What happens inside that brace? The first thing that happens. What did you write? It's there.
We make it go up or down.
What?
We're making it go up or down.
No, I've asked you what you wrote. Okay, you know which row you're looking at least.
Open equals on off.
Good. Row 24. Yes. That's a boolean, simply a local boolean that we keep in mind. So open equals on off. Suppose that when we start open for the first time, first of all, becomes insta, right? And we start on off. Therefore we start close. So open is going to be false, right? This
Yeah.
means which of the two positions do you want?
We want the 0.9.
Right. So what does the decision of which position? By the way, no, you're the one 0.9, you want 0.
Yeah.
Which criterion decides which of the two positions we keep?
What does that mean?
So you've just changed a criteria. You've just changed a variable based on off. You've told open whether it's going to be true or false. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So if open is true, which of the values do you need to pick?
You need the second one, so 1.
And if open is false?
And if open is false,
Right.
you use
So
0.
your criterion to decide whether something is open or close is the
Yeah.
open variable. Okay. Now we can do a tertiary operator here.
What does tertiary mean?
It's that sort of condensed if.
Oh.
So how do you type that?
I think it's
First, it's the thing you check. What do you check?
if open is false.
Right, so open is what you check. So open, this means open is true. Right? Do you want it to be false or true? I don't care. Either works.
Let's just do true.
Alright, so if it's true, now you need a question mark. So which value do you want?
Then you want the first one.
No.
No, because it's 0. The second one. So
Right.
1.
Otherwise,
Why is exclamation mark?
No. colon.
Colon.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, we have the 0.
close the square bracket.
And then
Semicolon. Save. Okay. See, this is not that difficult, right? Along the y-axis, by how much, one of these two, depending on what, depending on open. If it's open, I want negative 0.9. If it's closed, I want 0. Simple as. Now here we need to animate.
That's
so this
not
is going to be a problem, right? So this one is not instantaneous. This means we're going to have to start that particular coroutine, and we're simply going to feed it open, etc.
And then we still need to do the switch.
Now I was thinking we can probably just set open and closed right away. So cut this and put it right here because it applies to both. Save. At this point, this one doesn't need to know on off. Save. Because it will know it from here. Because this one is a local variable that's kept throughout. All right. So here, all we need to do is we need to start the coroutine and nothing else. So you can do that. No, you're missing something.
Oh, I need to open equals.
Wrong bracket.
Oops, this bracket. Yeah, close it. Semicolon. That's it. We don't need any more information. All right, we're here now. So we're currently opening the door. In order to open the door, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to decide which way we're going. We also don't know another thing. We don't know where we're starting from. Now, suppose, for example, you start opening the door from halfway through, right? Okay.
Technically, it should take half of the time to get to the end, right? Now that gets substantially more complicated, right? It's not that difficult, but I don't want to go down that path. We're going to make it very simple. Every single door movement is going to take whatever our open duration is. By the way, let's give this a value. Let's say that this opens in 1 second. Okay. And let's tell this one that it's going to be default, otherwise we get the warnings.
Yeah.
Hit tab. Save. Alright, so open duration is going to take 1 second. Fine. So it's always going to take 1 second. Even if you reopen it while it's even just a tiny bit open, it's going to take 1 full second to get either all closed or all open. Okay? And that's alright. It shouldn't be a problem. It should work okay. So, but in order to do that, because we have a lerp, what does a lerp need? A lerp needs 3 pieces of information.
The first, the X, and then the Y, where you're starting, where you're ending, and then the controller.
Correct. So when you start and when you're ending, the controller is controlled by time, so we're not worried. We're always starting from 0. That's my point. We're not starting for halfway through or anything like that. Always from 0. So that we can assume. But the starting point, we don't know it. We need to go get the starting point and store it first.
Find where we put
so create a float right away. And call it start y. Start y equals. Where do you get this y from?
Where the spikes are right now.
Yeah. So how are you going to get that?
Transfer dot position?
Nope. Use your brain. You have created something. Transfer dot position is the position of the entire object of the spikes, the base, and everything. You should have another transform that deals with the spikes specifically. How to fall in a puddle of water. You've literally just changed it. Just a moment ago.
Open positions?
No. You're looking for a transform. Oh, the patience of a saint I must have. When did you change the position of the spikes?
A few moments ago.
Yeah, where?
Up here.
Awesome. So what is moving there? Read that line of code. You have the knowledge.
Container.
That's right. That's what you want to move. So to get the information of where the spike container is in terms of height, how do we do it?
Can we do spike container dot height?
No. Spike container is what?
It is a transform.
Right.
So I think we can do this.
Close, not quite. What are you changing when you're moving it?
You're changing its position.
Position. So you need to access the position.
Now dot y.
Yes. Is this correct?
I think so.
Why would it not be? Why could it not be correct? Because there is a chance in which it's not correct. What position are you taking now? World or local?
We're taking local. We're taking world right now.
Right. So what if the spikes are, say, one step higher or one step lower? Because the parent is one step higher or one step lower.
Then do we put local?
Yeah, of course. You want the local position compared to the parent object to change in this case. So now you got the local position. Save. Now if I were to ask you an estimate, what possible values do you expect this particular float to have ever?
0 and minus 0.9, right?
And anything in between. So negative 0.45.
Yeah, because it's got to animate up and down.
That's right. So that's why you're getting this particular value, so you know where to start from. You could have to start from the middle. Okay? Now let's create another float and call it end y. Now how do we calculate this one?
Wait, let me write the float first. We need to make a place where the thing always stops. When it's
But it's a
going down.
float, so we don't need any vectors in this case. How do we decide which one? What's the end going to be? What are the two possible ends we can have?
0 and 0.9.
Right. So how do we decide which one do we pick?
We pick the one in the floor. 0.9.
What? But what if you're closing?
Can we just do both?
What does that mean?
Like, make it open positions?
Sure. Yes, we can. But can you? I mean, you can't do both at the same time. You're going to have to choose which of the two. And how do you choose?
Could we make a 4 to go through both?
And what would you obtain then? That it always animates to open because you always end up on the second one?
You're right.
Listen, the question is the same as before. What does it depend on whether it's going to be open or closed?
It depends on the bowl.
Right. So?
So, then I need to put
Open, and then?
except it doesn't work, so
Well, it won't work
I
because it's a
need
bullet
to
in it.
put
Okay, this means if it's open, 1,
if
Otherwise-
it's not open.
0. Okay, save. Now, let's suppose a scenario. Let's suppose our spy container is currently in the middle position exactly. What would be start y? What would be the value of start y?
Where its middle right is right now.
Yeah, middle. Exact middle. What would be the value of start y?
In between 0 and 0.9.
Negative 0.9, which
Yeah.
is?
I think negative 0.45.
Correct. Negative 0.45. That will be your start y. Now, this is the first time, so we're closing it. Where is end y going to be?
And y is going to be minus 0.9.
No. Open is
Because
0.
that means open.
0.
0.
Yes. So it's going to travel between negative 45.45 to 0.
That's it. So what else do we need for our coroutine? We need a controller, which you need to create.
We're gonna need curves.
Passing time equals what value?
1.
No. That's right, you start at 0. Now what do we need?
Now we need...
We got all 3 pieces, so there's only one last thing we need to do in order to animate things.
We need the curve. No, we already have it.
We're gonna use that curve, yeah, but where?
We need a LERP. To use it.
Sure, but the controller is currently static at 0.
We need to make the passing time start moving.
Right, which is? Right. Okay.
Now we need the time it will take, and not delta time.
Okay, delta time divided by open duration. Okay. At least this is satisfactory so far.
And now we need to do the LERP.
Are you sure? Didn't you forget something? Read the code exactly. So you start open routine.
Yeah.
Create a start y and calculate it. Create an end y and calculate it. Create a passing time, give it a value of 0. Increase passing type once by delta time divided by open duration. Suppose delta time is 0.02, open duration is 1 we said, so 0.02 divided by 1 is 0.02. So from now on, passing time is going to be 0.02.
So we need to set it to higher than 1?
Well, then it will instantaneously move and we get no animation. You need every frame to move the thing up a little bit or down a little bit. How do we do that? For the people listening, we haven't lost transmission. Zoe is thinking. What do you use in order to make, say, passing time, for example, increment over time?
You use time the delta time and open.
That's true, but you're missing one vital piece. How is it gonna work? If you increment time to delta time is just a value. I don't know, let's call it a cup. Okay? Current passing time is this other cup. I add this cup to this cup. I have now 2 cups. That's it. But I need delta time to get to 100 cups. So what do I have to do?
So we need to increasingly increase?
Yes. And how do we increasingly increase? The same way we always do it.
So use a while loop?
Yes, use a while loop. Based on what criterion? While! It's the Scottish version. While? Based on what criterion?
If it is higher than 1, I think.
Yeah, but not higher.
Lower.
Also not lower. Lower would probably be acceptable, but I always go with the safe option.
Then this. Lower equals.
Except this is higher or equals.
Except. Then.
Lower
this.
equals to what?
Lower equals to.
Two? What's passing time?
0.
No, that's not what I meant to ask.
It's a float.
What is it used for? In your case, what's the purpose for passing time?
Making the animation have time to go up or down?
You said you needed the lerp to move the thing,
Oh yeah.
right? You got 3 elements to a lerp: a starting point, an ending point, and
A controller.
what's your
So
controller?
The passing time, so you make it move.
Right. What's the high bound of a lerp?
I don't know what a high band is.
Well, what's the lowest point of the controller of the lerp?
0.
The highest?
The highest is 100.
Sort of. You're missing one vital word at the end of that 100.
Infinity?
No. 100 infinity.
100 foot.
No. 100%.
Oh.
Which is?
Which is 1.
There you go. There's the high bound of any LERP. I haven't got a clue how many LERP we've written so far, but I think it's like 6 million. And I still don't remember. Okay. So, what's happening now? You're gonna write this on your own if it kills me. So?
Now we need to make a LERP?
Yes. Except you need to read the code and see if anything is faulty in it.
So we've made the start,
Yep.
and we have the end when we have the controller.
Yeah.
The controller is implementing, and we
The controller is incrementing.
incrementing.
Is it?
No, we didn't make a 4.
Well, you made a while. It's essentially the same as a 4. I can see the passing time is incrementing. But there's one vital word that's missing there. It's incrementing how many times?
It's incrementing.
It's in row 41, right? It's incrementing how many times?
Time the delta time. Divide by
No,
linear.
I'm asking you how many times the line 44 is gonna 41. Sorry, how many times line 41 is gonna get played? Is it in a loop or not?
It's not.
Awesome. How many times does something that isn't in a loop get played?
Once
Very good. So where do you need to put it?
in the loop.
Awesome. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Ing time. Careful, insert is on. The most useless key in the world. Pass ing time. You need to add ing time. TI. Capital T. Okay.
And now I.
Wait a second. Is everything correct now? How many times does passing time increment?
Oh dear.
Right, it increments one more time for no reason. Okay, good. Now we're doing well. So passing time is going up. Now, what happens after this? Now your passing time's gone up a little bit. This means your controller of your LERP is now ready to be useful. It started at 0, it's now something. Whatever the number is, it doesn't matter. So what can we now do?
Make the LERP.
Sure, but what will the LERP do?
It will
What's the LERP for?
moving one thing to another place.
Correct. What's the thing you're moving?
The thing I am moving is the door. The spikes.
Okay. Which is?
Which is something that I haven't made yet.
Is that so?
The spike container.
Yes. Spike container. What do you do with it? Spike container?
Need to make it equal.
Make what of it equal? What is a spike container?
Transform.
Right. What can you do with transforms?
You can change them.
Change what of them?
Their positions.
There you go. Then spike container dot.
Position.
Use both hands.
Okay.
This is world position.
So local position.
Okay, now equals. Now,
Then
which axis are you moving on?
I am moving on the X right now.
Eh?
No, the Y.
That's better.
So I will do.
No, you won't do math yet. I mean, you will do math soon, but first you do vector 3.up. I've just asked you which axis you're moving on for a reason. Vector 3.up. Okay, now what do you do with vector 3.up?
I need to make it
Make what?
I need to make it actually go up or down.
Yes.
Move it and give it and actually make how fast it goes.
Okay, fair enough. Which means how fast it goes is too abstract, too human. What does the computer need to know? So the computer knows the start point. The computer knows the end point. The computer knows a controller. The controller is currently actually incrementing.
We need the curve.
With the curve, you'll worry about that later. Let's start with the easy bits. So it now knows what axis to move on, but as you pointed out, it doesn't know how much to move on by that axis. Okay, how do we tell it that? By how much it needs to move up.
Until 0.0 and minus 0.9.
But that would mean that it would go all the way either to the start or either to the end immediately.
Then to the middle.
Eh?
Anywhere in between.
Then it goes right in the middle. What?
And just anywhere in between.
Sure, and how do you know that value? See, that's exactly my problem. You pay almost no attention to what we do, you mechanically type what we say, and you have no idea what you're doing. And now you're here, I'm asking you an incredibly basic question, actually a series of them, and you fail at every one of them. Every one question so far. I had to pull out like a dentist from your mouth. The way I would pull out teeth. So, vector3.up is what?
It's a value that tells you go up.
By how much?
By, I think, just 1.
Right. So it's 0 on the x, 1 on the y, 0 on the z. If you leave it as it is, it means that the spike container's position after this frame is going to be 1 on the y. Next frame is going to be 1 on the y. Next frame is going to be 1 on the y, and so on and so forth. What do you have to do to the value 1 to tell it how far it needs to go?
Make it go higher or lower.
Yes, but we're talking mathematics. What do you have to do to a value of 1, okay, that now you know the direction of something, to tell it how far it should go in that direction?
Add to the number of how far.
Alright, let's try that. So it would be plus, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and now what's the value?
The value is, if we're at 1, we're already, the value is,
You're adding something. The value is which one? What are you adding? I want to see that spark turn on in your brain when it says, oh, I finally got it.
the end, y.
So plus and y. Okay, type it. Semicolon. First of all, it's unhappy. It says operator plus cannot be applied to operands of type vector3 and float. A float is a number, a vector3 is a set of 3 numbers. It can't work.
So do I make another vector3 with
I don't want you to guess, I want you to think. Even if this were to work, on the first frame you would get it to position 1, and then if you requested open, it would be position 1 minus 0.9, so you would get 0.1. Is that any of the numbers we want?
No.
Correct. Now there's another hint there. It says the plus operator doesn't make any sense. Is there any operator that does make sense? If vector3 up is a direction, it's just the axis on which we're moving. What can you do to it?
Multiply.
Sure, why? Make the scenarios in your head. If vector 3 dot up multiplied by negative 0.09. What am I saying? Negative 0.9. What would you get?
You would get 0.9.
Negative 0.9.
Negative 0.9.
What if you multiplied it by 0?
You would get 0.
But on the axis you want. And no other axis.
So that would work?
Ish. You're still saying something powerful, stupid, but we'll get there. Okay, so multiply. Okay, so on the first frame, suppose that end y would be open. It would be negative 0.9. On the second frame, it would be?
Would it minus 0.9 again?
It wouldn't minus anything. It equals to. That's what it says there. So it equals negative 0.9. And then the third frame, negative 0.9. And then the fourth frame, negative 0.9.
Which is wrong because...
Which means you're not animating, you're already at the end.
Yeah. So it can't start at 0.9.
That's right. So how do we animate? You've said it before.
We do a lerp.
Right. So instead of that end y, you should multiply by some lerp, which you need to create.
So I need to do math f. Dot lerp. And then I open a bracket. And now I need to put the start y. And now I put the end y.
And then?
And I still...
Okay. Let's see what I'll see here.
I think this is wrong.
What are you thinking?
Trying to think if I should keep the multiplying that I did last time or not.
Multiplying for what?
I applied ny by this.
By what?
By the vector dot up.
Which is here. You're still doing it.
So that means I don't need this. So, and then I need to do passing time. And this doesn't work because I still need dot.
You can't evaluate a float.
So then I need to convert it into
No, you need to access the curve right away if that's what you want to do. Okay, now you got the curve. What are you going to do with it?
Need to use it, so...
So? I mean, I saw you just type it now.
I typed it
Am I crazy? No. Okay, good. Now what are you going to evaluate?
Need to give it a time. And I think I'm done, so I do this. But...
Not all paths return a value. Round bracket expected.
And now I need to return something. Return.
No can do. This is a coroutine with a while loop.
So I need to end the while loop?
No. If you do, then it's only gonna play one frame. This is a special thing, so I'm just gonna tell you it. It's yield return null.
Wait.
Because you selected delta time as opposed to fixed delta time. So yield return null. Semicolon. So it's going to not return immediately and wait. But it is going to wait that one frame. And then it's going to do it again. If you remove that yield return, or you put it at the bottom of the coroutine, then you're going to get an infinite loop. you need to stop the loop. Okay, we need to recap this because your level of incompetence is blowing my mind, considering how many times we've done this. So let's start from the beginning. We have a method that's public that's called start open. It
Yes.
receives two pieces of information, on off and insta. On off will decide whether the door is going to be open or closed, and insta is going to decide whether it's going to happen with an animation or not. The first thing that we do is we stop it. Well,
Yeah.
we stop the coroutine anyway. This is going to stop the coroutine if it's running. If it's not running, it's going to do nothing. So there's no danger. The second thing that we do is we assign the value to our local bool variable that knows whether the door is in fact open or closed. That's the first thing. The second thing we do. The third thing is we evaluate whether we're instantaneous or not. If
Yeah.
we're instantaneous, we take the spike container, its local position, and then place it somewhere on the y-axis. Every other axis gets left alone. The x doesn't change, the z doesn't change. So we change only the y. By how much? By open positions, and if we're open, the second one. And if we're closed, or not open I should say, the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, otherwise, we start the coroutine core open, and we assign it to core open. Fine. Okay, here we go. Step number 1. We find out how high we are with that spike. So we go spike container, local position y. That's easy enough. Second, we find where we want to go. Same concept as before. Open position. If open, 2. If not open, 1. Right?
Mhm.
Then we create a passing time and we give it a default value of 0 because that's where we usually start loops, and then we go all the way up to 1.
Yeah.
Which is why the while loop is going to continue as long as passing time is not higher
Then 1.
than 1. Higher. Important. That's why the equals is here. So even when it's actual 1, it stays right there at the top. And then we say passing time plus in time, we add the current frame pass time, whatever it was, divided by the duration. This is how you get to base. It's sort of the opposite of multiplying by a speed. It's the same concept. So you divide by how long you want it to take. Okay?
Okay.
And then what we do is we change the local position to what? On that particular axis, we do a lerp between the start and the end by passing time. But before we use passing time raw as it is, because it would make a linear movement, meaning it goes from 0 to 1 in a straight line, we
Yeah.
want it to be a little bit more interesting. So we're going to give it a certain curve. We haven't decided what curve that is yet. But say, for example, spikes that open could come out fast and then sort of bounce a bit at the top. Right? So reach the top and then bounce a little. Or go down and bounce a little. Right? So it'll feel a lot more alive. We're going to use that curve. So we're going to evaluate that curve using passing time as value. This means you feed it passing time as an x and it returns you a y based on that particular curve. You can then use that value as the controller. The curve is also going to be between 0 and 1. So it just modifies the behavior of the passing time without you having to think. And then what we do is we wait a frame. And we repeat this until we're done. When we're done and passing time is higher than 1, then we exit this. There's no more code to do. We stop. Save. That's what happened. Okay, so that's all we've been able to do today. Because we're already 40 minutes over our allocated time for this. But there you go. We're going to stop here. The colors still haven't been decided. I think red has been decided, but world coordinates and quadrant coordinates haven't been decided. Why are we going to need these two pieces of information?
Because we're going to need to know where the stuff is. Where the spikes are.
Why would the spikes want to know where they themselves are? What do the spikes need to know when you load them for the first time?
If they're open or closed.
That's right. That means we're going to use those two pieces of information to check if the status of the spike has ever been saved. And if it has been saved, under what circumstances it's been saved. So has it been saved as a 0, meaning closed, or as a 1, meaning open? Therefore, we're going to use these pieces of information to check that in the game manager. We're going to do this next time because, like I said, we're out of time. Okay. And when we're done with this particular project, we're going to do another attempt at actually creating one first project where you do most of things on your own. A little bit. Because you're now too capable. You can type fast, etc. But it's absurd that you're so incapable of making decisions. This is excessive, in my opinion. That if I ask you, okay, what should you do here? You have absolutely no idea in the world. That is not right. We need to correct that. For now, anyway, nothing to worry about. We'll continue with our adventure project until it's done. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.